Alright, so what's up guys? So we're out here on another run out here. Out here. And today it's super hot, we're super sweaty, we're super wet and disgusting and gross and ready to take a shower, but still out here, still running, right? And our ego wants to tell us, right, why are we out here, why are we doing this? We could be sitting out on the beach and relaxing, and essentially what we got to do is silence it, tell that ego to shut up, right? Our ego, hey, hello, wants to defend us at all costs. It wants to protect us, right? Prevent us from seeing any real danger, but it creates this mechanism that's almost self-destructive, right? It'll hurt you, right? Make you arguably worse than when you started. So, without further ado, we're gonna give you 3 ways to silence your ego, right? Quiet it down, shut it up. And way number 1 is to meditate. Boy, this one, super basic, right? The whole idea of you meditating is to, essentially tell your mind, right, that you're not blocking everything, you're letting it flow, right? You're letting the wave play out to its fullest. And once it goes, right? You're taking in your thoughts as they come, which is good. It's a beautiful thing. It'll prevent you, from having these long-lasting thought patterns, these destructive, mind patterns, right? These ones where you got to protect your ability or how well you think you are at something, right? You think you're the best painter in the world, or artist, or musician, or fitness person, whatever, right? And you got your work there, and for you think it's the best work in the world, and what it's done is that counter to other people's opinions of that. Some people may think it sucks, whatever, and it can truly suck, right? And you cannot have the results that you wanted, but your ego will be there to try to defend you, right? That mechanism is there to try to protect that mindset of thinking you're poop don't stink. And sometimes you gotta wake up and realize that it does. You gotta work on yourself, and a way to eliminate that is to meditate, right? Because what that'll do is it'll stop that from happening, right? It'll put you in a state of nothingness, because when you're having this egoistic mind, the monkey mind as it's called, you're having, right, all these outside forces come into play, right, from your upbringing and so forth, right, or people, friends that you've had in the past. And then when you're meditating, you're letting those thoughts come to fruition as they pass. Then you're not making them your world. You're just taking life as it comes, right? And that's going to silence that ego. It's going to quiet it. It's going to slow it down, because what will happen is if you don't meditate and you let your thoughts continue to run rampant through your mind, it can get stuck there and it'll keep relaying on a loop. Imagine that you're listening to the same broken record over and over again, right? You're hearing the same song, right? Eventually it's going to be ingrained in your head, and not only is it super annoying, right? Can you imagine doing that? It's picking your favorite song and listening to it over and over again for 24 hours in a day, right? I would get sick of it. I'm sure you would as well. And whether you like it or not, the beat of the song, the frequency, the lyrics, they'll become ingrained in your head. And that's what you're doing when you're not meditating. You're just going about your day, letting your ego run amok, and it's destroying you. So, for you, another way that you could do, to silence your ego is to, do the self-work, do the self-improvement, right? Work on your body, right? Work on your knowledge. Go read some books, right? Be a student in a sense, because to be a student requires you, to destroy your ego, right? Because you're in a lesser position in a sense, right? You have, not as much say as a person at the top, right? The master, the instructor. Because when your ego is running wild, you're gonna think you're the instructor everywhere you go, right? Your say is final. You know the best for everything, right? You're the master of everything. And you're probably not. There's things you're good at, things you're not good at, right? Things I'm good at, things I'm not good at. And for those things that I'm not as good at, I can probably, take some advice from other people that know more than me. And even on the things that I'm good at, I'm probably not the best. So, from that, you got to be able to, be open to growth, be open to being a student of the game, right? You can't always be the master of your craft, of the world, right? Because if we had, there's 7 billion people in this world, if we had 7 billion kings and queens, right, running around, the world would be chaotic, right? We need someone, to rule their own domains, right? And we gotta have people underneath them doing different jobs and so forth. There's no harm in that, but those people have to know their place. And from that, it requires them to put their ego in check, to silence it. And, for that, they have to grow. And that brings us to point number 3 in silencing your own ego is to, ask, for help. We need professional help, right? Friends, help from your friends, right? From people that you know, right? Don't be afraid to ask someone, right? They're there for you, right? Try not to go about life, right? Alone, scared, and alone. You probably won't be because you have an ego, but you get what I'm saying, right? Because having those people around you will almost force you, it'll make you inclined to take their thoughts, motivations, and opinions into account, right? You have to be aware of how they're thinking, how they're feeling, and adjust to it. Because if not, you won't be working with them. They won't be able to stand you for very long. So from that, you have to, right, take that into account, right? Learn how, to get with other people and work with them. Because, ego tends to be a very isolating thing, right? As we clear our nose, but, it can make you feel very powerful, right? In your own head, in your mind. You feel awesome, feel like the king of the world, right? Like we said, but it'll put you alone, right? In that feeling, because it'll push you away from others, right? It'll make you look down on other people, right? And you want to be able to embrace those people, acknowledge them, love them, right? And have them love you back. And, how can they do that if you have this huge ego that you haven't silenced? And, in order to test yourself, right, in that area, is see, right, how many friends do you have that supports you and love them, and see how you act around them, right? Learn from that, right? Learn what it takes to maintain those relationships, whether friendship ones, loving ones, business ones, you name it. It takes a certain degree, right, of ego silencing to keep those alive. And, from that, you gotta take that into account. You gotta understand, how to almost conform in a sense to others, right? Handle them, interact, and play a role. And, with those, 3 ideas in mind, we have the whole idea of, right, silencing your ego, quieting it down, right? Because oftentimes, before you realize it, it can go crazy, right? Make you, think things that you would never think of, and stuff that you would go back and question yourself. You're like, why did I think like that? Why did I want to rule the world and have this evil plot, right, for destruction and doom and getting back, having revenge, right? That's a big one. That's to do with ego, right? Why do you want to be so revengeful? Why do you want to get back at somebody, right, that did you wrong one day or hurt you or so forth, right? Who are they to determine, you know, what you're doing in your life? Because when you're doing that, right, you're going after your revenge, you're giving them power, you're giving them control over your life. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It could be a great motivator, right? Getting revenge, right? Losing the fight and coming back to beat them, right? Stapling a picture of their face, if you're a fighter, and, you know, essentially wanting to knock them out. So what do you have to do? And there's no shame in that, but you gotta do it, you know, from an ego silencing place. You gotta do it for you, right? To make yourself the best person you can be. And if you beat them, good, you're awesome. But that source of improvement, of that development, came from you. It came without an ego, which is what can happen when you're presented with others. It's a very, how do you say, antisocial thing. The very almost makes you crazy in a sense, and that's what it does. And, you know, from that, you know, you can use these 3 tips to get, you know, away from your ego, to silence it. And the end, we say thank you, and we hope you enjoyed this video. So yeah.